1996. I came from Germany through the front door, was checked out, background checked, medically checked, spent a whole lot of money, and proud to be here. This guy is my only child, my son Dominic, 30 years old. He called himself German Chocolate, because he was born in Germany. He's chocolate. Where do I start? You heard numbers, you heard statistics, but first I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here, for spending your time here, to want to hear and learn more about it. Thank you to my sheriff friend, and thank you Susan and Shari for being friends for many years, and they helped me to do this along the way. So I share with you your worst nightmare. What happens when people don't follow the law and just come here because of whatever reason. We lived in California. Dominic and I shared a household. We both rode motorcycles. He was full of life, 30 years old, didn't have a girlfriend, didn't want the drama. He just wanted to live life with his friends, go flying. He had a Cessna. And he loved law enforcement. He loved helping people. He became Volunteer of the Year in 2004 for the city of Moreno Valley, where we live. Because he was Barney Fife. He was always out there helping somebody, stranded car, old lady across the street. He was known everywhere. Him and I, we had a bond unlike anything. He was my best friend. He was my rock. We had an immense trust. We both led lives with our friends, but we did a lot together. You saw one, you saw the other. And 3 years before he died, I met a wonderful man named Anthony on eHarmony. It works. We've been together since. And life started just getting better. Dominic started working for the Riverside Sheriff's Department as a 911 dispatcher. He was working on becoming a police officer, motorcycle officer, and then he wanted to become a helicopter pilot for the Sheriff's Department in Riverside. On July 11th, my fiance and I went to Atlanta for a family reunion. We arrived too early, went for breakfast. At the same time in California, July 12th, Dominic took his motorcycle and went to work to help people at the dispatch. He was one of the best in his field. Oh, don't want to forget, I always bring him with me. These are the ashes of my son. This is all I have left of my only child of my family. It's hard, I can read your faces because you can't go there in your head. So on July 12, 2012, 5:45 in the morning, as he's on his way to work on his motorcycle, an illegal alien from Guatemala with 2 felony convictions. He was no stranger to our system. Armed robbery, grand theft. He got a little slap on the wrist. He was deported. Of course he came back because you get everything for free. Nobody punishes you. He got pulled over for drunk driving, didn't have a license, had an expired license, had a fake license that expired, then he didn't have a license. No insurance, no registration. He thought he needed to go to work. You know how people stand by Home Depot and you pick them up because the labor is cheaper? Please don't do that because you're helping this issue, this problem. So this guy turned his truck, uninsured, unregistered, in front of my son and killed him instantly. The impact was head on. My son died instantly. The coroner told me because I wanted to know did he suffer, and he didn't. He said it was like when you drop a computer, everything is just disabled. Threw him into a wall, tried to run away. Thank God there were witnesses, and they stopped him and held him. In the meantime, dispatch, all his friends, they're waiting for him. He's supposed to be at work at 6 o'clock. He didn't show up. Now the calls started coming in. Fatality on pitch and pass. He's not there, so they started putting it together and started to get really worried and scared. And then somebody read the license plate of his motorcycle, and that whole center fell apart. Those were his best friends. And they had to bring in people from another dispatch to keep working. The first officer on the scene, he went into shock. He couldn't work because he would work with Dominic at the fire station, volunteering. The second officer showed up. He couldn't work it. He went into shock. The fire department showed up. They couldn't work it, so they finally had to call Highway Patrol because nobody was able to deal with this. I never read the report. I never saw pictures from the scene because I just didn't need that image in my head. The guy who killed my child, he sat there bored, like, how about letting me go? Because, it's nothing, not a big deal. I fast forward, he was known by the judge and the DA. So while we're in Atlanta, and I'm starting to feel real weird, and we're walking out of a breakfast place, and all of a sudden my legs give in and I passed out. It was 5:45 a.m. when my child took his last breath. Because all of us know when our children aren't good, when they don't feel right, something is off, you feel it as a parent. So we came back and finding out that the judge knew the killer, the DA knew him. We all had him many times and let him go. He had 2 DUIs, no license. They gave him probation. He drove again. He was caught on probation and they told him don't do that anymore, and then he killed my son. He was right under that legal limit of being drunk. The judge and the DA talked us out of going to trial. I was in a state, my only child was gone. My housemaid was gone. I didn't know which way to think, what year it was, and they said, let's just do a hearing, not a trial. They lied to me. I didn't know. I thought they got my back because they kept telling me, we got Dominic, we're getting justice for him. The judge asked him if he had anything to say to the mother of his victim, and he put his hands in prayer. Of course, he didn't speak English, so he needed 3 different translators, which my son's taxes paid for. And he told us that God gives life, God takes life. He was only on his way to work. At that point, they had to peel me off the floor because I just slid off the chair. The judge then looked at me and said, if I would have known more about this case, I would have given him not just a misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter without gross negligence, but I wouldn't agree to a deal. But I made a deal with him and I have to honor my word. Now I'm looking around thinking, am I being pranked here? This is a judge that's supposed to give us justice, not that illegal alien killer. So he gave him 9 months and 5-year probation. Yeah, and the guy served, now get this, 35 days. He served 35 days, and in that time, he was able to bail out an illegal alien repeat offender that just killed an American. He was able to bail out for $10,000 cash. And he motioned his happy behind out of there, and when we were told about it, we thought, he's gonna be gone. But he wasn't, because he was so arrogant, like a lot of them, it's the same story and attitude. Nothing happens to them, there are no consequences. So he came back for, getting arrested, and then he was put in an immigration detention center where my fiance and I went every week. Because now we're learning about illegal immigration, about the facts of it. I had no clue. A year and a half later, the guy was flown to Guatemala, and we have intel because Dominic's friends are sheriffs and SWAT team. He's back. Well, under Biden, he has a different name. He's enjoying a happy life. The media was around a little bit at first, and then they stopped when I used the term illegal alien. And I'm really hard on that. When you use any other term, undocumented migrant, not yet an American, whatever else they would like to use, you're diluting and you're insulting immigrants like me. It is illegal alien. That's it. And then illegal alien is not a race. People call me racist. So I usually tell them, maybe you need to go to sleep, come back with something better the next day. It will try to stop you, call you racist if you use the term illegal alien. No human being is an alien. I'm not saying that, but the term in the books is illegal alien. And so please use that term. And don't let them shut you up by calling you a racist. You just look at them and tell them, yeah, whatever. You don't even have to get into a discussion. Share it with friends, talk about it. Because when it happened to me 10 years ago, I used to be afraid of these things. I would sweat and shake and I couldn't speak publicly. But I became so desperate, I was ready to take my life. My life just didn't mean nothing, my heart was shattered. And I wasn't into politics. And I'm walking through my living room and I see Donald Trump on TV, getting in front of the flags, and I'm thinking, is he doing another show? And he said something, he's running for president, blah, 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 and then I'm keeping walking and I heard him say illegal immigration. And I looked up and I dropped to my knees because I knew it was my sign from God. Don't do it, because I was about a week away from it. My poor fiance had no clue. And when people think they can't do something, like I said, I couldn't speak publicly, I wasn't involved in politics. You never know how God is going to use you and place you. A couple of months after I saw Donald Trump on TV, I get a call, and it's the Trump campaign. And they say, Donald Trump would like to meet you. And I said, you're right, and I hung up. My son was a prankster, so I thought one of his friends, which was my friends too, he would, just mess with me. But thank God they called back. And my fiance and I, Anthony and I, went to LA to the Beverly Wilshire Hotel with a few other angel moms and dads and Donald Trump. And I don't call it walking in. It's a door like this. It was a conference room with us sitting there, no bodyguards, nothing. And the door opened up. And to me, it's my imagination. There was smoke back there. And then the door opened and the light behind him. I mean, this guy is tall. And he wasn't walking in, he was just gliding in the room. I'm still seeing that. So we're sitting there with him and he wanted to hear each of our stories. And this man looks you in the eyes when he talks and he remembers. I just saw him last month. I'm still Dom's mom, and he still talks about Dominic. He's the one asked us about our stories, and we said, well, nobody wants to listen to us. No TV stations come around anymore. He said, come with me, we're changing that. So we're marching behind him. Of course, I'm trying to see if the hair is real while I'm walking behind him. He takes us in a room where this whole wall is full of media. You just hear click, 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 click. Okay, I'm fearful of public speaking, so now great, I got this. No, we never. So we'll just stand with him, and he told them, you will listen to these people. And he taps me on my shoulder and says, honey, go tell your story. So I got behind the podium, my knees knocking. I'm thinking everybody can hear the bones just clanking. And I feel my son's hands on my shoulder. And I hear his voice say, Mom, now or never. And I told his story. I told what he meant to myself, to my family in Germany, to all the people. They still celebrate his birthday 10 years later. And I did it, and I didn't freak out. And as I'm walking out of that hotel, all of a sudden, CNN wanted to interview me. Wow, where you been the other years? But he gave my son a voice. There are thousands like me, thousands of angel parents that have to deal with this. Our wounds can't heal because we hear these stories. We watch the news, we see millions coming in, but you're not getting the truth. You don't get to hear these kind of stories of babies getting raped to death. On our side, on their side. That man helped me to overcome this fear of public speaking, and then turn my sadness and my broken heart and my wish for death into advocacy and making sure Dominic will never be forgotten. And FAIR had helped me. They invited me to DC, and now they're probably saying I'm a fugitive by now. But they helped me along the way to get better.